All right, guys, we got quite the panel. Let's give it up for these guys. So I'm going to allow these guys one at a time, and we'll start with Rich to just kind of give us a quick intro, name, age, where you're from, and why you're here.
My name's Rich Froning, Junior. There are three of us now. I live in Cookeville, Tennessee. Was born in Michigan, but Tennessee is home for me. Own CrossFit Mayhem with my wife. I have 3 kids. Also have a bison farm. I've been to the CrossFit Games a couple times. And I'm here because Charlie's awesome, and we've had a great time the last 3 years coming down here. Got to raise some money for Ronald McDonald House, but also meet a really great community that you formed down here with BoomFit, and just the whole event is pretty incredible. So really looking forward to it tomorrow. And we brought Tasia, who's the director of Mayhem Mission, Missions. So now it's your turn. Tag, you're it.
Me? Okay. Hi, I'm Tasia. I'm 31. You left out your age.
I'm 34.
I was born and raised in Arizona, and I've lived in Cookeville for the last, I think, almost 5 years.
Too long?
Yeah, a long time. I'm here because Charlie is awesome, and I'm excited to be here on behalf of Mayhem Mission, too. I work at Mayhem Mission and Mayhem Athlete, and have competed at the CrossFit Games a couple times, which has been really fun. So, Tag.
All right, guys. I'm Guido Trinidad, 40 years old, so the father of the group here, or godfather, so to speak. From Miami, Florida. Run Peak 360 down there, and also lead the ministry called Faith RX. And yeah. Excited to be here to support Charlie. I've met him a few times, and just love what he's got going on and incorporating faith into a festival like this. And I'm just glad to serve and support and love on this community in any way I can.
Guys, these are 3 kind of us, right? Everybody who's here loves to work out. Obviously, that's what brings us together. But based on everything they just said, it's just so cool to have this group of people. So I want to start with Tasia, and I actually want to hear about Mayhem Mission. That's something that we really want to highlight this weekend. You guys have a booth. I want people to know how to get more involved.
Sure.
I want to know what role you play. I want to just give me a lot about Mayhem Mission right now.
All right. So Mayhem Mission is obviously a nonprofit that Rich started, so super grateful for that. I am the director of operations there, and what's really cool about Mayhem Mission is a unique nonprofit in the sense that we don't have one singular focus when it comes to who we help and support, but we cover a lot of different nonprofits that we partner with. So for instance, we've got separated quarters, so we go like human trafficking is our first quarter, and then we're right now in our quarter we're focusing on water. Our third quarter will be focused on at-risk youth, and then our fourth quarter will be focused on unreached people groups. So we really just want to come alongside other amazing nonprofits like Faith RX and not reinvent the wheel, but support them and partner with them in any way that we can. So to get involved, and we have a ton of events actually kind of in the works right now. Our most, one that's coming up the fastest is on September 4th is our water event, our Mission Water event that we're putting on. It's an online awareness event where you can compete with your friends from wherever you're at to raise awareness and raise some money to put in wells in different parts of the world. So we're partnered with Never Thirst and 2535 Water for that. And then after that, we've got Legends of the Falls, which you guys might have heard of, to raise money for Mayhem Mission, and so many other different things on the docket. So if you want more information, you can go to Mayhem Mission's Instagram or mayhemmission.org, and you're welcome to email me at tasia@mayhemmission.org.
Yeah, the email, huh?
I think the cool thing too is you guys are kind of like networking with other nonprofit ministries that are doing really cool things, like the guys that go to Nicaragua and do ministry over there, and just I know they're down in South America right now, and it's just really cool to see that. How did you end up in the role that you're in? You know you go from being Team CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, right, champs, and then now you're executive director for Mayhem Mission. How did that happen?
Yeah, by God's grace. It's actually really cool because letting go of competing was something that I was struggling with and having a hard time with. And the position that I'm in now actually wasn't even a position at the time when I stepped away from competing. And I stepped into this new space of life and knew that I wanted to help people and love people. And Rich had formed this nonprofit, and I was already on the board. And just by God having his hand on my life, he opened the door for me to step into this role, and that happened. And it's been really amazing. So.
She's done awesome. It's been incredible to watch the transition from being an athlete to, she's leading Mayhem Mission and is doing an incredible job at it. And just that she's picked up and ran with it from the beginning. But really it comes down to her heart and how much she loves people and how good she is at that. And so it was kind of a no-brainer that we were like, oh, we need this spot. Tasia fits that perfectly, and she's done an incredible job. So good job,
Thanks,
Tasia.
Rich.
Awesome. I'll never say another nice thing again.
Somebody's got that on camera.
Yeah. Rich,
Erase that, Scott, now.
Tell us, Mayhem Mission, where did that birth, where did that seed get planted?
Yeah, so, as we've grown at Mayhem and kind of had just our community there, we've done Mayhem for Mustard Seed. When we had the tornado come through 2 years ago now, we've just kind of, when you see a need, fill a need, however we can help. When people come to us, we try to help any way we could, or do events like this when we could help out. And when we brought Brian on, our CFO, he had kind of a heart for overseas missions and different things like that. And I had kind of the local, I want to help the community. And so we kind of, hey, how can we make this something where we can do both? And so really, like Tasia said, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel in anything. We're just partnering with other people that are specialists in it. We worked with Rescue Freedom for the first quarter. We're working with Never Thirst and with 2535 for this next one. And then we've got Keala, and then Mustard Seed Ranch, which is local to us. Keala's in Hawaii, that they do the Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run. And so we know how incredible this fitness community is and this CrossFit community, and we just figured, hey, let's figure out a way to put it in motion, and we know people want to help, so hey, how can we make that happen? So we've been blessed, and it's been an incredible journey, and something I think, like I said, Tasia's done an incredible job of picking up and making it actually come to fruition, because there for a while it was just like, what are we doing? Oh, let's go help this, let's do that. And so having her actually oversee it and organize it and control the chaos, which is good.
That's
Control
awesome,
the mayhem.
Yeah, and I encourage you guys to check it out. A portion of the registration, the proceeds, are going to Mayhem Mission, and they designed our shirts, which are pretty sweet. So Dre with you guys hooked it up. All right, now we're going to transition to Guido. Man, share your testimony with us. Give us a little bit of kind of, how you ended up.
How much time do you have? A dark past. No, grew up in the church around the age of 9. I come from a single-family home. I want to step back because I just had one thing I want to add. I just really think that it's really remarkable. I've known these guys for a while, and just seeing how they genuinely want to use the platform that they have to do good. And that's something that, I think a lot of high-level athletes in other sports maybe just kind of slap their name on something, but they're all in on this. And I'm just, I'm really honored to even be sitting on the stage with you guys. So thank you. So my testimony in a nutshell really is growing up in a single-family home, pretty chaotic and just not healthy emotionally, you could say, and just got involved with, even though I had Christ in my heart, got involved in a lot of just not so great things, substances, and just doing the wrong things. But God used football to draw me closer to Him. So at the age of about 15, I kind of recommitted my life to Christ, and He sanctified me and gave me the opportunity to lead Bible studies even at a younger age, go on to college, play football, so on and so forth, and then eventually found CrossFit. But really, when I think my walk with the Lord really took a step in a direction that I always knew existed, but I really didn't know how or even what it looked like, was actually through Faith RX. And it's one of the reasons why I'm sitting up here, is because of the impact that it's actually had on my life. So you didn't ask me this, but I figured you eventually would, tell us a little bit about Faith RX. But this is a vision that was birthed into a woman by the name of Becky Konzelman, who's, I want to say, 5 times games athlete. She's no longer with us right now here in the physical world, but spiritually she is. And God just nudged on her heart. You know, she tells stories about how she couldn't sleep at night until like she did what God needed her to do, and was, you know, start this. And it's funny because at the events that we have that are now called True Strength, one of the pictures that she has is actually, I think, of Graham, you, Rich, and Dan, and they're praying. And it was just there's two pictures that really, I think, impacted her and imprint my mind. Was she saw that there were men of faith and women of faith in this community, and then she also saw at the center of the stage in Carson thousands of people idolizing those men. And she was like, there's something wrong with this. You know, they're idolizing the wrong thing. We're created to only worship God, and I want to bring that into this space. So she started off with a New Testament Bible, and she partnered with Chip Pugh, who is a mentor to Rich, and they started what's now Faith RX. So, yeah, what does Faith RX do, and how did I get involved? Just to kind of summarize that and make that part of my testimony, was they started off with a New Testament Bible, similar to like FCA, where they have testimonies from high-level athletes. Somehow I made the cut. Not sure. That was probably a mistake there, because I was a one-time games athlete there. But I snuck in there, and ironically enough, I think it was just the beginning of what God already had in store for me that I didn't really know. But I always wanted to be involved with Faith RX, and I didn't know how. And finally, I connected with Becky, and they started running some camps. And I think it was like the 4th camp that they ran, and it was in Tampa. She asked me to come up and be a guest coach. So I went up there with the intention to serve, to give, and to love. And really, at that stage in my life, I didn't know it, but looking back now, I was really more of a believer. I wasn't really a follower. I mean, I had stripped away some of the lifestyle sins that were in my life for sure, but I really wasn't pursuing God the way that I now know is the way to live, the life that I want to live and that He has in store for us. Long story short, I get to the event, and I'm just rocked. I mean, emotionally, spiritually, I was just rocked. And really, more than anything, because I kind of related to, imagine if you were working out your whole life and you thought you were pretty fit, and you walked into a CrossFit gym and they told you to do Fran for the first time, and you just almost died, right? And you're like, oh, I thought I was fit, and you're kind of like, your ego's broken, but you're inspired at the same time. You're like, I don't know where I'm standing, but this is good and bad at the same time. So I was there, and I felt shame because I felt like I wasn't living up to the person who God wanted me to be. But at my core, I knew that this was the moment that God was showing me how He wanted to live my life. I basically never saw people that I could relate with, that liked the same things that I liked and were passionate about the things that I was passionate about, that were also pursuing God in a real authentic way. And Becky then asked me to come back, which I was mind blown, because I didn't feel qualified in any way to actually speak about God. I just knew I was a Christian since I was 9. And as I came back, they kind of mentored me, I guess you could say, and discipled me. And I learned what it was like to pursue God as a lifestyle and make Him the center of our life, not add God to my life and everything gets better. No, He is my life. So I was then asked to be the head coach, and I would travel to these camps called Iron Sharpens Iron. Now we call them True Strength. Was then part of the board once Becky passed away, and they needed to kind of formalize things a little more. And just recently in October, I got asked, and I got called. Because again, it's not something that I was planning. I had other endeavors that I was planning, but God had a plan already, and I felt convicted that I needed to step up and take a leadership role as the executive director of Faith RX. And it's been a huge learning curve, and I'm just honored to be where I'm at right now and help really kind of have Faith RX take that next step. So I'm talking a lot. I'll finish with this last kind of phrase. Sorry about that. Faith RX is essentially a community of followers of Christ that are in love with Jesus, but also have a deep passion for fitness, for CrossFit, let's say, if we're going to keep it real, right? And it exists, and we've kind of had, we do so many different things, but essentially the first thing that we exist for is just to create unity. right? Is to say, hey, we're all the same way you show up at a CrossFit class, and some people can knock out 50 chest-to-bar pull-ups, if not more, and some people have to use a band, but we're all in it together. That is our Christian walk. That is the faith walk, right? We all are in a different journey with the Lord, but we have our eyes on Him, and He's meeting us right where we're at. And that's what the intention of Faith RX is to unite us. And then we don't want to be left where we're at. You don't show up to the gym just to stay where you're at. You want to be strengthened. You want to grow. And that's our goal with Faith RX, is to help people grow in their faith. And once you've grown and you want to take that next step, is what do you want to do? You want to talk to somebody else about it. You want to help them. So essentially, I would say the main function of Faith RX, besides uniting like-minded people who love fitness and are pursuing Christ, is to also be a bridge to the lost. So many people in your gym, like, maybe say they know the Lord, but they don't ever go to church. They don't read the Bible, or many people just have bad experiences with church in general, but they'd be more open to hearing your testimony and maybe hearing a devotional if you had it in the gym. So we have these events that we call chapter meetings, faith and fitness meetings, and that's also an opportunity to be a bridge to the local church. We're not pretending to be the church. We want to bring people to the church where they can get fed on a regular basis and discipled. So we do that in a variety of ways, through social media, podcasts, events like True Strength, and then I think where really it all happens is in community, in chapters and things of that nature, which we have close to 100 now across the U.S. and even in a few other countries as well. So that was a lot. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted everybody to hear about Faith RX. You guys are here this weekend too. You've got a booth. I want people to get involved. So I appreciate you sharing that. We're hosting a camp at our gym. I think it's sold out or just almost sold out. October 13th through 15th. We're so excited to do that. I want to highlight a couple of things. So what Guido said is he was almost like the student that now became, we'll call you executive director, but leader, right? Like student became leader. You were mentored, discipled, poured into, not even knowing where you'd go, right? And now he's in a leadership role with the organization, serving, and that's so cool that all those years have gone by, and now you're sitting where you are and being a gift and a blessing to everyone. Another thing I want to highlight is you have two different platforms, ministries that were established through CrossFit, right? That's what birthed it, is being really good at snatches and rowing and fitness. And so it's just so cool to see that happen. Rich, I have a question about this phrase, into the storm. Mm-hmm. The podcast that got birthed in COVID kind of, I wanted to ask it last year and we didn't get around to it, but I think it'd be really cool for you to share that whole thing, like how the Into the Storm came to be, and then how the podcast that you guys just kind of, I think y'all took about a month off, but you just picked it back up. I think we're still in 2 Samuel, yeah.
I
think we'll be in that book.
I was just thinking about that while we were sitting up here. I was like, we didn't film one this week, so we're going to have to figure that out when we get home. But yeah, so Into the Storm is kind of the Froning Farms, I guess, motto. And to be 100% transparent, I hate motivational speech. Like, I hate just all of that stuff. But I was reading an article, I think it was in the Tennessean, where it was talking about how bison, when they see a storm, they face into it instead of most livestock runs away from it. And so the idea is you're through the storm faster if you meet it head on versus if it catches up to you. And I was like, it'd be really cool on a T-shirt. So we started making some T-shirts, right? Well, then COVID happened. And I don't know, we got this idea. It was right around Easter as well, I think. And so we started out, Tasia, like I said, some other guys and girls that have just an incredible, like Guido's talking about, different stories. We all have different stories. We're all at different times in our walk. We have some really knowledgeable other wise guys on there that are not in a bad way wise guys, but guys that are just incredible as when it comes to Bible knowledge as well as life experience. And so it's been really fun for me personally and selfishly in my faith walk. But we started out with kind of going through the resurrection and crucifixion of Christ, not in that order, and kind of finished. And we were like, this is kind of fun. I like this. Let's do something else. So selfishly, I connect with David a lot. There's just a lot of parallels in my life that, we screw up. We always screw up, but we always come back, and like Guido's saying, when God's the center, and I believe God was the center of David's life. He was a man after God's own heart. And so selfishly, we went to First Samuel and then Second Samuel, because you got to tell the whole kind of story of David, and then Tasia's taking us wherever we go next. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the New Testament. But it's just been a podcast, honestly, where we kind of just read a chapter and then talk about how it kind of hits us and how we apply it in daily life. And sometimes we'll read these most random chapters, and you're like, this is going to be a 3-minute conversation, and then it turns into some of our best. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's just on our YouTube channel that we have.
The format's so cool because it's almost like when you're listening or watching, it's like you're sitting in the Bible study with you guys. You know,
like I said, it's selfishly, it's been really good for my faith walk, and so I get just as much out of it. And we kind of say, hey, and when I'm praying in the beginning, Lord, speak through us. Like, it's not our words, but what you want people to hear, and it's been a ton of fun.
That's awesome. Okay, let's transition a little bit into y'all's lives because they're really busy, just hectic. Everybody's got different stuff going on. You get pulled left and right, and I would call it the current of the world, right? So, you go out to the ocean and you set up here, but then you end up way over there. How do you stay grounded in your faith with just getting pulled in competitions, the CrossFit games, all the working out, and things that could easily become idols and things that could easily become focus points of your life, and still stay grounded every single day in the Lord? And anybody can jump at it first, but I want to hear from everybody. Go ahead.
I'll take it. So the way this event, faith, family, fitness, I have those 3 things at night that I kind of process. How, I give myself a grade, I guess you could say. Was I in my faith? How was my family life and fitness? And every day, like I said, I give myself a score, but it's also, you got to have a short memory, because there's going to be days where you do really well in maybe all 3 or 2 or 3 or whatever, but the next day's a new day.
Does Hillary give you a score too?
No, absolutely not. No. We do not talk to Hillary about the score. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you have to be very, transparent with yourself and really self-critical of how did I do in these 3 areas? You got to have a short memory when you do well, but you have to have a short memory when you aren't doing so well, because it's going to keep, I'm going to keep doing bad, and I'm going to keep doing bad. So for me, that's kind of the way I go through it. Faith and family are the first 2. Obviously, my fitness is the easier one of the 3 for me. It's easy to get a workout in, we get so caught up and busy, and I've got 3 kids now, and Lakeland just started public school this year, and so prioritizing them it's scary how quick time goes. Luckily they're with me. I train at the house or I train at the gym, and 9 times out of 10 they're going with me. If they want to go and I can make it happen, they're with me. Ask Tasia, it's chaos. Anything that I say is going to take an hour, or hey, I'll be there in 30 minutes, it's going to take probably an hour and a half, because getting the 3 of them in the car or anywhere, and then when they're in there, it's just mass chaos. Anna and all them, they're always wanting tattoos, the fake put on tattoos, but it's awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And so honestly, family and faith or family and fitness are the easiest 2. And so every morning I have to make sure that I'm in the Word while I'm kind of making my coffee, doing my rounds. We have a really good group, a similar group to our Into the Storm group that's on the Bible app, and we just you read through it. We're going through a New Testament in a year, and then there's a little conversation at the end, and everybody kind of talks about it. But you can, when Lakeland, like I said, she started school, I caught myself 2 days missing it, and I'm like, oh man, 2 days behind, so I gotta try to catch up, and just every day's a new day. I guess that's the roundabout of me saying every day's a new day. You're gonna do really well some days, you're gonna do bad some days, but short memory.
Yeah, it's like accountability for you. What about you guys?
Yeah, so similar but different from Rich. I think the community at Mayhem has been a huge part, just being surrounded by people who can help hold me accountable and also speak life into me. That's been really big. I'm a morning person, so getting into the Word in the morning really makes my day better, and I try to be diligent about that. Something that's also been a huge blessing in my life is listening to worship music at the barn. When I first came to Mayhem, I didn't really listen to much worship music besides in church, and that can totally change my spirit and my mood, just being in a space with people, just listening to worship music, working out. That definitely helps keep me grounded, but yeah.
I'm going to say something on that because when I went to the train with Rich last year, I was so impressed with the music. I mean, the M Athlete 2, and I've listened to it like all the time. I mean, it's the best, but that played the entire weekend, and it was just so powerful. But like you said, when you like worship music, that's why we have it tonight, because it's so moving. And while you work out, it was really cool to experience that weekend. Okay.
If you're out of the loop with the M Athlete 2, what's
Oh,
that?
man.
Is that Spotify?
It's a Spotify playlist.
There you go.
I am
M-
waiting for the M Athlete
Straight up,
3.
right
I know.
now.
We gotta
I'm kind of the
update
kind of
some
person
songs.
too that listens to the same song
I
over
need
and over and
Tasia
over.
to- yeah, that's the way I am. I'm fine. She's like, we got to update this. And Tasia actually has access to add songs, so we just need to start a 3, I guess, and not tell anybody until it's curated correctly. You know.
0.3. Yeah, again, like, you know, we all probably have the same formula, just mix it up a little differently. I think what I feel God's kind of been pouring into me lately and guiding me is that they're all one. All 3 of those things, my business, my family, my pursuit of him, is that he wants to be involved in every single one of those things. And for me, the word abide is just something that just resonates so much with me, because you stay connected all the time, right? So if I go and devote my morning to him, but yet, you know, half an hour later I'm having an argument with someone, you know, in the gym or something like that, or I'm like, you know, pursuing something for selfish reasons, then, you know, what good was the work that I did in the morning if really I kind of just completely forgot about it? I'm not really living it out. I'm just becoming religious, so to speak. So, you know, the word abide is something that, and then the scripture talks about, you know, pray without ceasing, and it's something that it drives my wife crazy sometimes. She's like, "You gonna pray again?" I'm like, "I'm praying all the time." And who was it? This Pastor McManus, I think, said it the other day in a podcast that I was listening to. He said, prayer should be like breathing, just essential to who we are. And I think that is, you know, if I were to give it one answer, it would be like to constantly be in prayer and conversation with God. It's like there's so many things that I think I know the way, and I can just get really excited and passionate about, and then, hold on, let me step back. God, are you in on this? You know, or is this just me kind of trying to take the wheel again? So yeah, just be constantly in prayer. I like also, I've done a little bit of meditation, and I learned, I'm a big, like, I steal things from a lot of different people. Greg Admonson, one of the original fire breathers, he was on our podcast having a conversation with Lindsay. And which, if you guys haven't heard our podcast, really awesome. Lindsay does a great job interviewing people. I know Tasia's been on it. Got to get Rich on it. Charlie too. And well, anyway, she interviewed him, and he gave a different spin on the word meditation. Basically, the Bible talks a ton about meditating on the Word, and the way that he did it he would integrate the way that kind of the Eastern world meditates in this repetitive, kind of rhythm of breath work. But instead of just using your breath work, that you would use Scripture and allow the Holy Spirit to kind of guide you into, like, what is that word? What is that Scripture that he just wants you to repeat over and over again? And funny enough, I somehow qualified for the games as a master's this year again, and I was like, oh, I'm training for the games again. I got to show up in halfway decent shape. So I wasn't used to training as often, so I found myself like, I needed like a little extra fuel. What do I even think about when I'm running this long? It's just not the same as when you're just taking an hour class. I found myself meditating on the Word as I was running, as I was training, and it was a completely different experience than anything I've ever had. And I've been working out since I was a little kid. So to answer your question, the prayer, the meditating on the Word, kind of just like as you go, as you live your life, has been something that has really helped me stay grounded.
That's great. Tasia, recently on the Enter the Storm podcast, I kind of heard you say a little bit about like the brokenness of the world, like it kind of hurts you, or kind of like you feel that, sounded like it, like that's something. How do you handle that, right? There's tragedy happening all over the world all the time, pretty heavy, like to remain faithful, to remain, positive amidst all of that's going on every single day.
Yeah, it's really hard, especially right now. We see just so much brokenness in the world, not just in my life, but in all different areas. And for me, just trying to fix my eyes above, and does that mean we just forget all this other things that are happening? No, like there are spaces where we can help and serve. So to step up where I can, to love well, to love with intention when I go out in the world, and to not let that bring me down. That doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. It's not always sunshine and roses. But if you can focus on a heavenly perspective, remind yourself of the word and the things that are in Scripture, I think that really has helped me a lot.
In the last year, Rich, can you recall maybe a time that you felt like the most separated from God? And then at the opposite extent, like the closest to God?
Yeah, I think when times are good, when you don't, family life's good, business life, all that type of stuff, there's not a ton of chaos in your local circle, I guess. I can't really recall a time in the last year, but just I've noticed in those times when things are easy and just kind of flowing, those are the times that I'm most distant and have to actually work a little bit more on my faith, because it's, when we're not in trouble, you don't really think, not that you don't need God, but it's not on the forefront. But when we do have those things, for me, I always feel like around competition is when I get the closest to God. A lot of, hey, let's get through this. But I think when I'm comfortable and when there isn't a storm, those are the times where I'm like, hey, I need to actively be seeking Him and in the Word, and connecting to others that I get a lot out of other people and listen to them, and like I said, the accountability of others makes me, in the beginning, I guess, of my faith walk, was huge, and now it's just kind of second nature. But yeah, definitely when it's easy, it's harder.
Tasia, tell us about you transitioning out of competition, kind of being, you won two games championships, and then made the choice to not come back for the third. I guess COVID kind of made that choice for you a little bit, but
sure. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I actually had no intention originally of stopping competing before the year of 2020, but I knew
we did compete in 2020 and won 2 sanctionals.
We did win 2 sanctionals in 2020, and I felt really, really fit after that second sanctional that we won, and so I was really actually excited for the year to come. And God had been calling me out, preparing me long before I just didn't really know it. And at the end of 2020, I was dealing with just kind of some minor health stuff, but also this urgency of God, like, over and over again being like, okay, it's time to step away. I have something different for you. And I kept praying and being like, I need more clarity, God. And He would show me clarity, and I'd be like, that's not clear enough. I need more clarity, and so on. And so it was kind of this resistance of obedience, actually. And when I, in January, decided to make it official and step through that door, not soon after that, the door opened at Mayhem Mission for me to step into that role. And all these fears that I had, that I wouldn't be able to reach people, or that I wouldn't be able to love people as well or do these things, God just opened my eyes and brought fruit in spaces that I couldn't even picture, because my perspective of what was good and what I thought I needed to live well, His way was different and higher. And so it was really a lesson in obedience for me, that I'm not going to be able to see the full picture. I'm not going to know what He has planned for me, but if He's calling me to something, whether it's scary or not, that I should step through that.
Guido, you went to the games this last year, qualified in the 40-44 Masters. Tell us about that experience just in general. That was the competition, just in the qualifier alone, was really tough. I think you got 13th in the qualifier, or you got top 20. Tell us about the competition, about the games.
Oh, that was fun. Anytime you could throw down with guys that are old and have the same pains that you have, and lots of kids, it becomes automatically a little less stressful. But I got to give credit to the guys in my gym. I just compete with a bunch of guys a lot younger than me and still think I'm their age, so they help keep me semi-fit. But I really wasn't planning on competing. Part of the story was I'm always going to do the open. I'm a big advocate and ambassador of the sport. So, I recruit people to do it. So I'm going to do it myself. And somehow I ended up in first place after the open. So I got like, okay, I guess I got to try to make the games now. And as I continued through the season, I qualified, but in that qualification process, I got hurt pretty bad. I have had 2, I think, herniated discs. I say think because it could be more, but at least 2 herniated discs that I know of, and I had a really intense back spasm that I've never experienced before. I was out for like a week, but by the grace of God, and through movement and whatnot, I was able to finish. It happened after only 2 events, so I still had 3 more to finish, and I really wasn't even able to stand up off the ground, let alone do 150 pistols and GHD sit-ups. So it was only a God thing, but I qualified. So after that, my experience at the games, I trained and then I got COVID, which hit me pretty hard. So I was like 3 weeks without training, and I was like, God, what's the deal? And I just felt him saying like, hey, you say that you want to put me first in everything, and just trust me, right? I went in with the mindset originally when I got first place, I won't lie, I was like, I'm going to go to win. And I think God humbled me, and he's like winning is going to have a different definition for you. And whether I want you, this is what I interpreted, he was pressing on my heart, is I want you to train like the guy who's going to stand on top of that podium. I want you to devote your nutrition, your sleep, every aspect of your life. You're going to do that for the next 7 weeks. But I want you to disconnect emotionally 100% with the outcome. And that was a challenge because I've been competing in sports my whole life. And, I was the guy that would say, what was the quote? I hate to lose more than I love to win. It was kind of like a badge of honor that I would say. And, I could say I didn't even make the final cut into the top 10. I came in 11th. And I had one moment that I felt like, bad for myself, and that probably lasted about 5 minutes. But outside of that, God gave me a ton of peace and joy with the experience. And really, I just was able to see, I guess you could say, the bigger picture is that God was using me there for a different reason. I had my family there, all 3 girls, my wife, my brother from Spain flew in, my mom came over, the community. I've qualified 3 times, and I would say this was the first, I felt more supported by my community now than ever before. I just had a level of joy and satisfaction that I've never experienced, and I think I connected really well with a lot of the guys, and it was a great experience. Lots of fun.
Congrats, dude. So you got first in the qualifier?
First in the
open. Okay.
Yeah, first in the
Got
open,
it.
and then
my bad, I said 13th. Rich, Coliseum, thrusters, 185. We should do that right now just to
Not gonna happen.
I mean, it reminded me of the 19 snatch bar muscle up, Coliseum. Oh, so awesome. Tell me about that moment, because I'm gonna paint the picture a little bit. You guys are walking. They are already 1, 2, and you're walking just casually. Yep. I mean, it is for time. You're trying to win, and they're on their second thruster, and then you stop and got some chalk. And then you kind of tell her, hey, you all right? And then they dropped. They had another chance to go and beat y'all, and then you guys go for 7. So give me what's going through your head in that moment.
Honestly, there was a lot of back and forth in that whole event. It felt like outside out there, inside the venue. There's supposed to be AC. Mentally you're just in a bad place. You're like, why is it so hot in here? I'm sweating profusely. There was multiple times where we got no rep. I think one time because my hands just slid. You couldn't chalk. The heats before, they were letting the people chalk. It was chaos. It was a mess. And so you're already in a bad place. This is a horrible workout because wall walks in it. Who the heck does wall walks? And so we're back and forth. We're doing our thrusters in sets of 4 and 3. They started out, I think, that way, and then they would do 2-2 or 3-2-2, something like that. They were breaking it in 3 sets. We would get ahead on the thrusters. They'd pass us on the wall walks. And so we're going back and forth. And Andrea, I see that they're starting to kind of pull away, and she looks at me. She goes, just let them go. And I'm like, we'll catch them. Don't you worry. I'm in my head. That's what I'm thinking. So we're laying there on the floor doing our wall walks. So we come back. We start to walk to the bar. And I'm like, we're going to go for 7. But hold on a second. Like, we need to, like, this, it's going to be all that we have to get 7, so just chill out for a second. Because I knew she wanted to get on the bar and go, but there's no way we were going to get it if we just hopped right on it. So I let them get their first set done, and I was like, let's go for 7. So we went for it. And when we got to 5, the entire stadium stands up and starts counting our reps. And I'm like, well, now we have to do 7. Because if we get to 6, and then there's going to be this awkward, like, oh, you know, and nobody wants to hear, from the crowd. So 100%. The only way we finished that was because the crowd was so fired up, and that was top 5, one of the coolest moments I've had at the games for sure. Just, you know, the Coliseum is just a cool venue. People are right on top of you. Like I said, the crowd counting down, knowing that we had to get 7 to beat them, and it was a ton of fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was one of the coolest events of the weekend.
And the only comment I got back when I saw Hillary was, "Your shirt's bloody and nasty. You look disgusting." I was like, thank you.
She keeps you in line.
Always.
Man, this is 5 championships, right? Team championships.
Yes.
By how many points was it? 200 something?
It was a few.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a team out there who's competing to try to win, but like going into next year, I mean, what is the secret sauce? What is the foundation of you guys? I mean, you got 2 new athletes this year, or 3.
3,
completely.
3,
yeah, you're the only one that came
old,
back.
old state. Yeah, you can't kick me out. I'll be here with a walker.
Yeah, so, not that I want you to give away your secrets, but
honestly, there is no secret. I think it's just, you know, finding like-minded individuals. Like Guido said, everybody on that team hates losing more than they like winning. The girls are the most competitive girls that I've ever met, with each other, with us. And but, you know, all the teams that we've had, when Tasia was there, before Tasia, you know, we had Ellie, we had Kristen Reffett, we had Lindy's been there. It's just having a bunch of like-minded individuals that you like to hang out with, you want to work hard. Everybody is super competitive. You know, obviously they have to have some level of fitness, but I think it was really just, you know, each collective team, you know, we just enjoyed being around each other and had fun competing, and everybody was super competitive and super fit and works hard and understands what it takes. And that's the hard part. You know, everybody always wants to ask, are you coming back individual, or we ever do the Masters as an individual? And I just don't have that drive to push myself to that place by myself anymore. Like, I just don't want to do that. But with the team, you want to suffer more for somebody else. And you see the suffering that they're putting in, or the, you know, what they sacrifice to be there, and it's a whole lot easier to push. And I feel like I can get a whole lot more out of myself when I'm pushing for somebody else. And so I think everybody else on the team is the same way, and everybody that has been on our team before is 9 out of the 10 maybe.
How cool was it for you to do that with your cousin?
Man, that was awesome. You know, Chase had his dad pass away, and then the next year, and his dad had just gotten into CrossFit for about a year or 2 when he passed away. And to see Chase get so close the year before, they actually qualified at Wadapalooza, and then to have that not happen because of COVID, and then for him to be on the game, it was the best. One of the best things from the weekend was him saying he went from being happy to make the games to now he had to win the games type deal. So he went from, we'll be happy just to, you know, be top 5 in an event. Now it's like, if we don't win an event, it's shame, you know. So I did not shame him. The girls might have shamed him some.
All right, so we'll end with a fun question, really easy to answer. If you could remove one movement entirely from ever coming up in a workout again.
Running. You just have to walk.
Double unders.
GHD sit-ups?
It's like one of the only 2 you get to like lay down on.
This story, this guy.
Yeah, when you almost died, I forgot.
Yes, he almost killed me. We did GHD Annie. I'm like, it sounds cool and easy. We're in Hawaii. And I remember finishing, you always kind of joke around, like when you do something with high rep, I'm like, I think I got rhabdo. Yeah, 3 days later I had rhabdo. I was in the hospital. But the best part was 2 days later we were going to go do the run, and I'm like asking everybody who did the workout. It was only like 4 of us. And I'm like, are you guys sore? And a little bit. I asked him, sore from what? The sit-ups. what workout did we do with sit-ups? That is 100 a
We
day.
do a lot of GHDs.
Guys, let's give it up for this crew. Thank them so much for being here. They're going to be around tomorrow, so I'd encourage you, grab them, take pictures. Rich is always so great. I mean, I think he's going to be late to every heat because he takes so many pictures on the way. He's so cool about that. So I'm going to close this out in prayer. Band's going to come up. We're going to close out in worship. About 45 minutes. We'd love for you guys to hang out. Heavenly Father, God, thank you so much for these three individuals that you are using in a mighty way, God. I thank you how they can just be so down to earth and just love you so much, and how they just use their lives, not just their fitness, just their lives every single day to glorify you, to honor you, to give you all that they have. And God, I just pray for this weekend. I pray for this weekend to be an opportunity for people to get to know you more through these three people. I pray that you encourage and prompt people while they're here to grab them, talk to them, even just get to know them a little bit more and get to know their hearts. God, I pray for the worship tonight. I pray for it to be just an opportunity for us to sing these songs to you and to love you and praise you, God. We're grateful for being able to work out the way we do and the way that we do it. In Jesus' name, amen.